for quite a while. And I've heard on so many channels how that people believe that boxing is dying. Things are changing so much that boxing won't be able to survive. Let me tell you something, as the old saying is, roll with the punches. Sometimes things change. Boxing is making changes, but it doesn't mean that boxing is dying. Just because Deontay Wilder lost a fight doesn't mean that, well, that I've turned my back on watching Deontay Wilder. He's still one of my favorite fighters. And we cannot turn our back on boxing just because of certain issues that has happened. Now, when Earl Spence lost to Bud Crawford, that was a total, oh, man, that got to me. Okay, now I may have questioned boxing at that time, then, um, but I have looked and I see how the boxers are going over to different places like Saudi Arabia, and they're doing their fighting and making lots of money, which is a good thing. But here is the thing about it. Even if boxing should move or remove itself from pay-per-view, and say it does move over to Amazon Prime, um, and I've even heard of, I call it jokes, Netflix, whatever, man. Boxing is boxing no matter where you watch it at, whether you watch it on the zone or whether, there was that thing, that Prime thing that was going on, BOK Prime or whatever it was that Bud Crawford went to for one fight, and then that was it. So let's just, we just have to look at it as it is. Boxing may be changing, boxing may be moving to different platforms, but it doesn't change the fact that we turn our backs on our favorite fighters. We don't turn our backs on the sport just because it doesn't go the way that we want it to go. When you come into this channel, and no matter what you say, no matter what you do, I don't like to block people. Uh, I may not say certain words like other channels do, but here is still my goal is to tell the people that boxing is still alive. It's not going anywhere. Boxing has been around forever. And, I have heard rumors that they're talking about doing away boxing from the Olympics. Okay, let's just say they do. Doesn't mean that boxing is dead. Now, it does take a big chunk out of what we love and what we like to see and what we like to do because there's so much cheating going on in boxing. Let's just keep it real. There's just not just one man or one woman cheating in the sport. They may all be cheating for all I know. But the one thing it is to stop the things that are going on, the ones that run the sport of boxing need to step in and do what it needs to do to get the cheating politics out of boxing. You see, that's it. Boxing is becoming political. It's becoming politics. Nobody wants to fight the best anymore. The best is afraid to get the big zero knocked off of their record, or all this and that. And that's why I give a shout out and a heads up to Earl Spence that he went out no matter what he was going through. He went out there and he fought. No matter how much he was down or whatever, he stayed in that whole fight. And he may have lost, he may have got beaten up, pretty badly. But the thing about it is, we can't give up. We don't turn our backs. Now, even if Earl Spence never fights again, if Deontay Wilder never fights again, those was two big things that would be gone from boxing with not seeing them fighting, but they will still always be on my top list of some of my great favorite fighters. We have so many channels, fighting with so many channels, that nobody seems to just get along. Well, I'm going to tell you something. You come to this channel, you can get along. And so many channels are devoted to one certain fan base. We can't be that way. We have to have more than just one specific fighter in mind. There are great fighters all across in boxing, and just because our fighter and get this straight, Father Time is undefeated. It's undefeated. Everybody gets to a certain point where they are not the best anymore. And we have to move on and go on to this. But I will not get down and bow down and worship to any man or any boxer and be some type of fan where I will completely worship that person. That's not me, and that's not who I will ever be. But one thing I will never do also is turn my back on my favorite fighters. And again, which is probably two of my favorite fighters in this era, being Deontay Wilder and Earl Spence. And whether they never fight again, I'll always remember them for the things that they did and the things they achieved. And to me, that makes boxing worth everything. And you, the ones that are more than just fans, that you will pretty much fall down and worship the ground that the person walks on, you are the ones, you are the fans that destroys boxing. It's okay to brag about your fighter. You think he's going to defeat another fighter a certain way, but you can go too far with your devotion towards a fighter to where it gets to, like I said, it gets political. It begins to get, I've seen some people say the most insane things that I would never believe that somebody would say about a boxer. And we have to wake up and understand that things changes. And that's the way it always has been in boxing. Look, one of my greatest and favorite fighters of all time, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, rest in peace, was one of my favorite fighters. He fought some of the best. I believe he beat Sugar Ray Leonard, but yet he lost. And he retired. And that's just the way it was. It wasn't the outcome that I wanted. But it happened. When Larry Holmes, when I was so much rooting for him to break the all-time record for being the heavyweight champion, to break the record, which I think is 49-0, got to, what was it, 48 wins, and he meets Michael Spinks, and he loses. Now, I've watched both fights against Michael Spinks, and I think Larry Holmes won both fights. So take that as it is. Was it did on purpose so that that they could say, well, it's always the white man that wants to stay on top? Well, let me tell you, I'm not racist. I'm not anything when it comes to those things. The thing is that everybody is so hard in crying about how this is being done to them and this is being done to this, to that, whatever have you. You know, I could look at and I could say the things, well, I see what's being done to you, but do you see what's being done to me? What do you see? And some people, they don't take that look because they don't care about what you are going through, just what they are going through. Many channels here on YouTube that I have followed, and they was just totally different years ago when I first started watching some of their channels. Now it's a total different thing. And that person or people, which I will not name any channels, have changed and not for the better. We need to get back to reality. We need to get back to the basics. We need to get back to really who we are. Not to worship man, not to have a favorite fighter just to worship him or to just follow him. The man, when we support a fighter, that's what we should do, is support that fighter no matter what happens. Earl Spence is probably my favorite fighter of this era, but he has been through so much. But a lot of it is due because it was his fault. He made poor choices in his life. He made poor choices. And, you know, some fighters, you know, they have to have that fighting lifestyle. And I'm not putting down Errol Spence, but what I'm saying is we can't be out drinking and driving, being in accidents, hurting our bodies even more, even outside of the boxing ring. Those kind of things just will not work. And hopefully, that all the injuries that Earl Spence has suffered and the things that he's going through, that he comes out 100%. I do still want a rematch against Bud Crawford. Have I given up on Errol Spence? No, I have not. I have not given up on him defeating Bud Crawford. Do I know that it's going to happen? No, I don't. But even if he does get to fight him again, and he does lose again, he would still be one of my favorite fighters. And even though I know Bud Crawford is the real deal, he is a great fighter. I can't take that away from him. But he's not one of my favorites. But the thing about it is that we have to wake up to the solid reality that things changes, we change. But the main thing is this: support your favorite fighters, continue to support boxing. Don't worry about what another man says, what another man does, or whoever tries to run the show. Just support boxing as it is. And when bad things happen, the only thing that we can do is hope that things get fixed and get better. And as you can see, my little kitty cat here, think about it. Listen to what I'm saying. Nobody may even watch this video, but I'm going to tell you this. Again, support your favorite fighters, support boxing. Don't believe that boxing is dying or is dead, because I'm going to tell you something. Boxing is still alive. Boxing is what we make it. And it is time that we put boxing back up, uplifting boxers, instead of putting boxers down. Alright. Anyway, appreciate everybody out there. Solid salute to everybody, because this is your boy, DJ7 for life, giving you friendly advice. Just letting you know where I stand on these things. I have not turned my back on anybody, and because that's not who I am. Again, salute. It's your boy DJ7 for life, and we are out of here.